I've got some really interesting stuff. You guys would be glad you came. I'm glad it's small, so I can talk to you guys a little more personally. So why do I want to give this talk to you guys? Why do I want to tell you guys about this stuff? Like Victor said, I did my senior thesis on the Lord as a warrior. And, but even more, I wanted to be more practical to you, like the guys in the dorms, and to the girls too. I wanted to, like if the girls understand guys better, it's better for them to be able to relate to men as men, And this book here was a real inspiration. If you guys haven't read it, I'd really recommend it. It's called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge. It's enlightened a lot of guys on manhood, what it means to be a man. And this particular book is not written by a Catholic, it's written by a Protestant, but it's really insightful nonetheless. He has a few things that you have to watch for, like he cuts down priests and says they're masculine and altar boys, things like this. But all in all, it's a really worthwhile book. But the thing is he doesn't really get into the depth of what it means to be a man. He has a lot of interesting insights, and you intuitively know, man, that's right. That's what that's a great point. But he doesn't really spell it out real deep. And so that's what I've tried to do here for you guys, is to really get into the heart of this book and go well beyond this book and really go to the bottom of some of this stuff. And since I have a research background in science, I've done a lot of science reading, and I've pulled out a lot of things from science on what it means to be a man. His book is about three things. It's a battle to fight. Men want a battle to fight. Men want an adventure to live. And men want a beauty to rescue. Those are the 3 points of this whole book, basically. And the key to all of this is, and what really strikes men today within those 3 points, is that our highest aspiration is not just to be a nice guy, right? You hear this all the time. It's like, oh, he's a nice guy. I really like him. He's a nice guy. Is that it? Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a nice guy. And that's not our highest aspiration as men. People in today's world are starting to think along those lines. Oh, he's a nice guy. That's it. That's great. That's what he needs to be. That's our highest aspiration. My brother, I told him this. I said to my older brother, man's highest aspiration is not to be a nice guy. He said, really? That's what I wanted to be. That's my aspiration. And he was serious. Wait, you guys don't know my older brother. That's just the way he is. And from a woman's perspective, women don't merely want just a nice guy deep down. I don't really think that's what they want, and I think this book spells that out nicely. But to get into the science of this, there's a guy named Dr. Leonard Sachs from New Jersey, and he started, he's a pediatrician, and he sees a lot of cases, mothers bring their little boys in and they say, oh, my kid has ADD, and he does a scientific evaluation of the kid, and he finds out the kid doesn't have ADD, and so he tells the mother, no, he doesn't have ADD, sends him back. They go back to school. A couple weeks later, guess what happens? Kid's back in, mom's back in. My kid has ADD, reevaluate him, please reevaluate him. I'm pretty sure he has ADD. Does scientific testing on him? No, he doesn't have ADD. He's a normal boy. And what happened was he found out that little boys actually don't hear as well as women. They literally cannot hear as well. Within their inner ear, they have this test called the cochlear resonance test, and they found that women can hear sounds 3 times softer in 90% of the cases, using these cochlear resonance tests. And that's in 350 cases. It's not like they just did 3 people. So 3 times softer, and that's due to basically shorter, tighter cells within the women's ears. And these were basically infants that they tested. And I don't know whether you grow up as we can get older or not, but I don't think so. I think that, we literally can't hear as well as women in general. And that's something people don't know, but this guy is basically a big proponent of, like, let's get this out there. It's well documented scientific research. Have you guys ever heard it? Probably not. But it's causing a lot of problems because, well, this and other things are causing a lot of problems because teachers don't realize that these little boys in the back sometimes they're kind of soft-spoken teacher, nice woman, and the kid can't hear it. He can't even hear it. Of course he has ADD, he's not going to pay attention, right? If you can't hear it, you can only hear every other word the teacher's saying, right? I mean, I would have ADD. And this is just the way it is. It's just the way we're made. He basically, he's a big proponent of sex-segregated schools at young ages because, for multiple reasons, and you'll be able to see it as I go throughout the talk. And that's not my point today. I'm not here to argue that we should have sex-segregated education or anything like this, but I want to tell you guys a lot of these differences that are really interesting that you should know that exist between men and women by nature. And that's one of them. And then he also, so Sachs got into this thing, he got into the scientific research because, this ADD issue and this hearing thing. And then he went and found that our vision is different. Found out that where the optic nerve connects, the optic nerve, right? It connects our eyes to our brains. So when the light hits your eyes, it sends signals through the cones and rods into your optic nerve, which stick them into your brain and give you an image. Okay? And he did some studies on the optic nerve and compiled some stuff. He's got a book, actually, if you guys are really interested. It's called Why Sex Matters. Leonard Sachs on sex, Why Sex Matters. It's not a Christian or a Catholic book. It's just really scientific, but it's a fun read. And he's got a lot of footnotes, everything. Anyway, so looking at the optic nerve, where it connects to your eye, let me step back. It actually connects to your rods and cones. Your optic nerve connects to a rod, let's say, right? That's called a P cell. Where that connection is called a P cell. Where it connects to a cone is called an M cell. This is just technical stuff. Now, men and women, as far as we know, have the same amount of rods and cones in our eyes. But we have a drastic difference in the number of P and M cells. So basically, we have a drastic difference in how we receive, our receptors, our ability for those rods and cones to stick stuff into our brain, basically. Now, cones sense color and texture. If you don't have any cones, you're colorblind. Dogs don't have any cones. Rods, direction and speed. Guess what? Men have a lot more P cells that connect the rods to the optic nerve. We don't have more rods. We have more of these P cells that connect the optic nerve to your rods. So basically, we have a lot more ability to detect motion, speed, direction. Women have a lot more of these M cells, and it's a drastic difference. I don't have the numbers written down, but basically, they are more sensitive to color and texture. You know this from experience, but you've never actually heard it scientifically said, probably. But I thought that was really interesting, right? I mean, basically, we're wired for direction and speed to be able to pick that up at a much, more precise, we're just basically able to pick that up in women with color and texture. So, if you guys don't understand, I can draw a picture for you guys, but I think you pretty much get the idea, right? Rods and cones connecting the cells. Okay. So, the other thing on the